All right, so I realized I've talked a lot about pop-ups on this channel so far, and I've never showed y'all what it is exactly. So what I've got here is a piece of 1.5 inch PVC. It's 5 feet tall. 16 inches up, there's a 1/4 20 bolt running straight through the middle of it, so that when I put it on a post, it can go on a T-post, it can go on fiberglass, and it can go on just, I've used it on the O'Brien step-ins even. So it can go on any of those. And then at the top, it has a chamfer. That's just so I don't have to work as hard at lining it up. So it's chamfered right here. And then it has a notch that runs about 1.5 inches down in there. And then on the opposite side, it has a 3/8 inch hole drilled in it so that I can run a piece of jacketed wire through there, and it'll act as a cotter pin if I'm gonna leave it in place. So this is what we use to make any of our posts a gate, basically. We can do this on our fiberglass fence that I put a video up. I can link that, but we use it on our fiberglass fence post. We'll use it on T-posts if we want to. And we'll also use it, like I'm going to right now, on a temporary fence. We'll just throw a fiberglass post in and lift up the poly wire. So I'll show you that right now. All these heifers are ready to move in here. So I'm gonna take this pop-up. I don't know if y'all think of a better name for it, let me know. But I'm gonna take that notch and just slide it right on there. The chamfer's there just to make it where I don't have to aim as well when I do this, because I do it one hand a lot. So as I lift this up, I'm lifting up 50 feet of poly wire that way, sorry, and 20 feet this way, something like that. So I'm gonna pick it up and set it right on top of this post. And now I've got a 7-foot tall area where the heifers will come through at. So if I step out of the way, pull out of the way, they'll all flow right through here. Now it does take a couple tries to get them started. And of course they're running today. Usually they walk. It's because I'm standing here. Come on, girls. There you go. Slow down. So that's 175 heifers moved through the fence, and you can do that any spot along the fence. I don't know, they just felt like running today. They don't usually do that. Usually they walk just like this. But it's pretty nice. It makes it where, like, if you get one that somehow ends up on the wrong side of the fence, you can just walk over. You don't even have to push them anywhere. You just walk over and put a pop-up in, or just lift the wire up even by hand with a pop-up, and they usually want to get back with the other cattle enough that they just walk right under it, and they're used to walking under it. But as I was saying before they all started running, if you're gonna try this, you gotta kind of get them trained to it. So what you do is you put it in a corner or somewhere where you can throw a little poly wire around them, and you just push them up to the edge of it, and then throw a poly wire up, and let them sit there for maybe a day. If they take longer than a day, you've got a problem. Usually they take an hour, maybe. But once 4 or 5 of them start walking through, they'll get curious and they'll start walking through. And once 4 or 5 of them walk through, you're pretty well set. The rest of them will follow. And then once they do it 2 times, they're usually pretty well trained, and you can just move them like that every time from then on. Sometimes it takes 3 times, 4 times, but like when we brought the bulls in, we've got some Red Angus bulls. Here's one of them right here. They weren't trained to going under a fence, and 3 of them went under in the first 15 minutes of being put up against the poly wire with the pop-up in it. And then 2 of them sat there for several hours. They sat there and just would not walk up under it. So I went over and encouraged them a little bit more, got them under it. And then after they did that twice, all of them have been perfectly fine. None of these heifers, when we first got them, were trained to go under. And I trained all of these in about 2 moves. So really useful little tool. The best thing about this too is it's really cheap. You buy a 10-foot piece of PVC and cut it in half. That's why it's 5 feet. There's no real math to that. It was just I could get 2 out of a 10-foot piece, and they fit really nicely on the Kawasaki. So cut 2 of them. Again, the bolt's at 16 inches. The notch is about 1.5 inches deep, and they go on this fiberglass post. They go on our line post. They go on T-posts. They really work good. This is where they stow on the Kawasaki. They just stick right behind the back seat. Slide right in there real nice. Works really, really well. They don't stick out. 5 foot is good measurement. Okay, so I hope that's helpful. Hope that kind of gives some clarity to the things I've talked about in the past. I probably should just do one like master video on fences where I show all the different weird stuff we do. But that's how we're working with the poly wire and with the high tensile. We pop them both up like that. I actually prefer the pop up over a standard gate. Even if I have like a gate there, I usually stick them under the wire just because. It kind of is good practice for them too. So that's what I do. Again, I can't take any credit for any of this. I learned it all from other people. I try to think outside the box, but usually I just look at somebody else's stuff and man, that's pretty cool. So I steal it from whoever I can. But hope that adds value. If it does, like and let me know, leave a comment, ask any questions you have in the comments, all of that good stuff. But I appreciate it. Thanks for taking the time to watch me ramble.